for me.
Hey guys, Chastity and Greg here with another breakdown of Star Trek Discovery, this time for Season 2, Episode 5, Saints of Imperfection.
Now, again, warning, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and come on back.
Okay, Greg, what do you think of this episode?
Another good episode. They're showing some consistency here, or seeing a theme. I'm like, okay, and no ups and downs. We've gotten a few weeks prior with this little roller coaster. This is a strong episode. It's loving. I mean, there's strong performances across the board.
Great
and the
acting,
action's great. We talked about last week how they were doing a little bit of housekeeping, and this episode they keep it up with just to clean off a few other story arcs they had out there, and that's Culber this time around. They're like, hey, let's go back and finish up Culber's story.
But how do we bring him back?
That, okay, sure.
You?
Someone said, okay, how do we get Culber back? All right, there's a team of people who probably said, how do we get him back on this show? And it goes from, okay, Culber gets his neck snapped last year to...
Unceremoniously.
And then it ends with Culber being birthed out of a pod from the mycelial network. So everything in between there, question marks. But sure, it worked. Profit.
Phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, Phase 3, profit.
I loved the Culber and Stamets reunion. I thought it was so emotional and heartfelt, and yes, it was a stretch to get him back this way.
It's Star Trek.
But I am willing to suspend disbelief here because I really like those characters together, and it was a very nice reunion.
Now, I think they did something like this before with Scotty on TNG, so there's some precedent for transporters creating life. So the episode starts off with everyone on the hunt for Tilly.
Yeah.
Search
so
for Tilly.
Stamets starts the search for Tilly.
Yes. Stamets notices there's no human material, no DNA in the cocoon. So
where'd she go?
She was transported to the mycelial network.
Tilly shows up in the mycelial network, and May wants her to kill a monster who turns out to be Culber. Let's break down how he got there. So Stamets opened the door to the mycelial world and sent Culber there without realizing it. Culber's energy passed through Stamets while he was linked to the network. Then the mycelial network created him with their matter. In Season 1, we saw that Stamets was having flashes as he was moving between worlds. Then later at the end, May takes Culber's DNA and adds it to the cocoon on the Discovery to reform his matter. And then he's back!
Yay! All right.
Because
cool.
science.
Science.
I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this.
All right, let's move on from the search from Tilly. Let's talk about the search for Spock now. All right, the crew, they think they're on the hunt for Spock. They think they got him locked down now.
With the shuttle.
Yeah, and it turns out it's actually the Terran Empress herself, Georgia.
Captain Giorgio.
I love the shot of Michael just holding the gun, like just keeping it held up.
Everyone's put it down and Michael's still like,
oh, wait, hold on. So no one really knows that that's not Georgia. Only a few people, Section 31, and not even Pike yet. So she's just kind of walking on eggshells here, but Georgia's just, I love how just she's cocky, she doesn't care. She's just like, whatever.
Sassy.
Section 31?
Fancy. Covert ops, intelligence gathering, threat assessment.
Fun times.
Yeah, so Giorgio said that Leland knows who she really is, but Burnham still doesn't quite trust her motivations.
No, of course not.
So speaking of Leland, turns out him and Pike are old friends.
Yeah, I hope they go into that a little bit more in this show, but I have a feeling we may see more of that in Section 31 later on.
And then finally, Ash Tyler is reunited with the Discovery
Yes.
and everyone on it, much to Stamets' dismay as this look of horror passes on his face.
So awkward.
I don't know how it's gonna go when Culber and Ash Tyler see each other again. That's gonna go down poorly.
I need you to hold her together under thrust.
This is Agent Tyler transmitting on secure emergency channel. Control, do you read?
What the hell kind of communicator is that?
Janeway to Bridge.
Mr. McDowell.
LaForge to engineering.
Janeway to Con. Janeway to Chakotay. Bridge, I'm going in. Stand by to engage the deflector.
All right, let's jump into those Easter eggs and things we noticed. So first off, Stamets talks about twisted bodies.
Anyone who touches the barrier will find themselves twisted around the axes of both environments.
Michael references like the bodies we found on the Glen. This is referring to Season 1, Episode 3, Context is for Kings, where bodies of the dead crew were found hideously twisted.
Now, this is mostly just visual storytelling 101. Giorgio picks up an apple and takes a huge bite out of it.
Yeah, we've been getting caught up.
Now, I don't know when it started, but it's sort of an unwritten rule that if you want your character to look badass, just have them bite into a Granny Smith apple. It just works. Throughout the years, many famous characters have taken some smug pride in eating apples on screen, including Captain James T. Kirk. Captain Kirk's apple-related incident during the Kobayashi Maru simulation in Abrams' 2009 Star Trek. In the scene where Kirk is taking the Kobayashi Maru test, he's eating an apple, which is also what he was eating while recounting his tale of taking the Kobayashi Maru test in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. The apple also goes well with the heavy religious overtones of the episode as well, and whether we as an audience and Michael can trust the Terran Emperor's intentions with Spock.
And then Michael says this to Giorgio.
You're gonna have to start trusting me eventually, said the scorpion to the frog.
The line is a reference to the scorpion and the frog, an old fable. A scorpion asks a frog to carry it across a river. The frog is afraid of being stung, but the scorpion argues that if it did, they would both drown. On their journey, the scorpion stings the frog anyway. When the frog asks why,
I couldn't help it, said the scorpion. It's my nature.
Please, I need your help.
You don't get to ask for my help, May.
Then who are we to turn to? Who am I to turn to besides you? There's no one, Tilly. And I can't fail, or everything here, my entire species, will die.
Tilly and May's interactions take a lot of inspiration from a few episodes of Next Generation. First, pen pals. In the episode, Data makes contact with a young girl named Sharjenka from a pre-warp civilization on a planet facing catastrophe. Data even beams down to the planet to meet her and warn her family to travel to a safe region on her planet while Crusher and crew try to restore the geological stability of the planet.
The second episode is Imaginary Friend, where Clara, a young girl who just moved to the Enterprise with her father, has an imaginary friend named Isabella, who was in fact a spaceborne entity who came aboard the Enterprise D to investigate the ship as a potential energy source for its species. And May, just like Isabella, has a major misunderstanding of the ship's crew, as it was learning about them from the perspective of a child.
When Discovery's ship is being dragged into the mycelial network, we get this awesome sequence where a giant mycelial wall is slowly making its way through the bridge. This mirrors the TNG episode Starship Mine, where Picard tries to fight off a group of space pirates single-handedly while the Enterprise goes through a routine yet lethal baryon beam sweep.
A carrier base. This is Captain Picard on board the Enterprise. Deactivate the baryon sweep.
The Admiral says the red signal appears to leave behind a trail of tachyon radiation. Leland wonders if it implies time travel, and Pike says it could be the byproduct of cloaking devices or transporters. A tachyon is a subatomic particle that exists at faster than light velocities. They can exist naturally or be produced artificially, like the tachyon detection grid used in the TNG episode Redemption 2 to detect cloaked Romulan ships. Tachyons can be utilized in a few ways, like scans, weapons, or even a means of communication.
And this leads us back to the Iconians once again. In the TNG episode Contagion, the crew travels to the surface of Iconia where Picard concludes that the Iconians traveled to distant worlds through a highly advanced gateway.
Legend has it that they traveled without the benefit of spaceships, merely appearing out of thin air on distant planets.
These gateways allowed instantaneous travel over long distances. Someone could simply step through the gateway and emerge on the other side of the galaxy. The gateway network allowed the Iconians to travel through the galaxy without the use of starships, and was the chief means through which they controlled their vast empire. Theory time, one that you can probably throw in the trash by next week, who knows, whenever they reveal who the Red Angels are, if they are the Iconians. And I'm curious, I just wonder whether or not something big's gonna happen here with the end of this season, because the religious overtones of like just death and rebirth, and what does that mean for our crew? Each and every episode, they've been teasing like the loss of a character. Even in this one, Culber, you thought they're just gonna pull Culber away the second they showed him the Stamets.
If Culber can come back, anyone can come back.
But what I'm saying here with the Iconians and this technology and time travel, and they bringing this up, I wonder if this Discovery crew gets, as in other words, voyagered off into another time, where we're not exactly sticking to the timeline of, oh, we're just gonna, have this be Star Trek Rogue One, or it's just gonna end right before, Kirk's mission. So I feel like something's happening here, or maybe we're gonna get a change at the end of this season, where this team is now far off into 1,000 years after the events of anything that happened on TNG, for all we know. I don't know. They could put them way in the past. We'll see.
Yeah, they are opening up the door for the possibility of time travel.
What do you guys think's going on? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think they're going to take this Discovery crew and put them off in a long distance timeline somewhere else entirely, where they don't have to worry about, hey, what are we going to do with Spock? What about the Klingons? If they just move them to a different time altogether, you don't have to worry about any of that.
They can do whatever they want.
And you can give them new aliens, new species, everything, new planets. I'm on board for this idea. I'm getting excited when I think about it. Now I'm just setting myself up for just a huge heartbreak during the season finale, but let's see.
Let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments below, and also be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our Star Trek breakdowns, and you can get those whenever you want.
We'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye.